Steamians, Dan at Starlight here. Sit back, relax. I'm only going to try to reverse engineer the meaning of life. Now, that might seem like a bullshit thing to do because we all think, oh, we can't know the meaning of life. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to reverse engineer the meaning of our reality, not necessarily life in general, in the sense that whether or not you want to admit it, your behavior springs from a belief system that's rooted in something that you think is the most likely scenario for the meaning of life, and that's why you behave in a certain way. So even though we all are like, oh, you can't know the meaning of life, or at least it doesn't seem like we can know yet, doesn't mean that you don't live from your best hypothesis. You live based on your best guess as to what the meaning of life is right now. So if we have a better model of what maybe might be a better guess to the meaning of life, then our behavior should spring from that. Because right now we all walk around thinking that we are material, because that's what we've been told and that's what we've believed for many, many, many years, even though it's been a debate that's gone on for a long time, whether we're material or information. But we really do believe that we are these atoms and that we are these bodies, and because of that our behavior springs, stems from that belief system. But if that's not the best hypothesis anymore, then you have to think, okay, well, let's really formulate this new hypothesis and see if when we start behaving according to that, if life gets better, right? If it feels more right or whatever, if it just makes more sense. So science and the great minds of today seem to be pointing towards this simulation hypothesis, right? This idea that technologically we are on a path, we are on a trajectory to keep creating better and better technologies to the point, and better video games and simulations to the point that eventually in the future it makes sense that we will be able to create a video game that is VR. You go into it, virtual reality, it's indistinguishable from real life. And, we'll probably know a lot about neuroscience by that time. You can probably just pop an amnesia pill or something and you go in and that is your reality. Time is for you and existence is for you, just what's in that game until that game is over. So if it seems like we're en route to be able to do that in the future, then you have to assume that it's very likely that we already have done that and that we're already in a game. And the thing is, it's very likely then that we're very far away from base reality and that there's many, 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 maybe billions of levels of game between us and the great unknown, the first mover problem that we the eternal whatever that we still don't know. So I'm not trying to explain the eternal what the fuck. I'm trying to explain this reality, right? This game. In the same way I'm trying to explore, is the earth flat? Is it round? Is the sun at the center of the universe? Our galaxies, the end, is our galaxy the end of the world? Is this reality the end? I'm trying to take another step. That's all. And so I'm trying to figure out what the nature of this is. And I'm not trying to say, okay, what is the nature of our parent reality or that parent reality? Because we could have a meaning to this video game, and yet the meaning of the reality above us is something totally different, and we are just wasting time playing this video game. I really don't know. But let's start with what the meaning of our reality is. And the fact that we're creating this new reality, these video games allow us sort of a window into what our parent reality might have created when they created us. So, or at least what we're perceiving right now, right? Our consciousness might be the continuum that flows through all of these levels of reality, right? So what it allows us to do is look at the video games that we're creating and we think that we're going to create and that we want to create, or the simulations that we want to create, and use them to reverse engineer what our parent reality probably would have created. And because the video games that we create seem to be very similar to our reality compared to some unknown eternity that we can't understand, it's safe to assume that with billions of realities between the first mover and us, that just our parent reality is probably going to have a lot in common with our reality. just like our reality will probably have a lot in common with the video games and the simulations that we, upload our consciousness into in the future. So can we use these simulations, these video games, and look at them and look at how we are creating them and what we want to reverse engineer a likely scenario for what we are in right now, right? So if you look at a lot of the video games that we love to play and that we're creating, it seems that there's a couple main goals, right? One would be to win the game, to get the most points, right? Which might be like the most money or take over the world or something like that. Now another thing that we want to do is just get to the end of a game. That's another thing that happens in games, is if you can just get to the end, you win, right? So life might be like that. Like maybe our life is just like, the whole goal is just to try to get through it, right? Or is the goal, to get the most points, to make the most money? Now another type of game would be, I haven't thought about all of these. This is just off the top of my head, so there might be some that I'm leaving out. But another type of game is like to escape, right? So it might be that, the drugs that you take to escape life, alcohol, caffeine, or the thrill you get from skydiving to escape life, or the monk in the woods meditating, trying to escape life, or all the people that say, the meaning to life is to die before you die, then you're truly happy. So the goal of this game might be to try to escape, because that's a common theme in the games that we try to create, right? So you have to wonder, okay, well, what type of game is this? Now, I'm not going to say that I think it's to make a lot of money or to try to transcend the game, but those seem to be two common themes in our existence, in the consciousness of our existence somehow, that either, you should spend all your time trying to rule the world and make money, and, maybe Donald Trump is winning the game right now, right? Maybe the Illuminati is winning the game. Maybe we should all be trying to be like them. Or maybe the people who realize that wealth isn't important and are just trying to sort of escape this material world. Maybe they're closer. Maybe we're trying, as a culture, we're trying to hack our way out of this computer game. Maybe the goal is to transcend the game, right? I don't really know, but one of the other things that I think is really cool about video games is that consciousness is in them, right? In a video game. And often it's just coming in from one spot, or often it's coming in from many spots. So it could be coming in through just one character, which could be you, right? You could be the only real consciousness in this whole thing. And the rest of us, like me, I'm just computer code talking to you right now, right? And I'm literally just you put your game into your VR machine, and I popped up as part of the code that says all this stuff, but I don't actually have real consciousness. It's just you, right? And everybody who plays the game is you. So the rest of it looks like consciousness, but it's the AI, it's the computer playing. So that might very well be possible. Heads up, you might be the only person in the world. So if you're listening to this, dun dun dun. So that might very well be the case. Or, it could be like a multiplayer game where there's a whole bunch of consciousnesses, but not every person is a consciousness, right? Some people might be being played by the game. They might be on autopilot, right? That might be why you have people that seem to have different goals and desires in life, right? Some people are trying to figure out the meaning of life and trying to win the game, and others are just sitting on their couch eating potato chips and watching TV. So it's interesting, maybe some people are played by consciousnesses at some point, and the rest of the time they're on autopilot. And you have to think, the video games that we create, often we aren't animals. We don't go into animals' bodies, even though we might have animals around, right? So it might very well be that humans are the only consciousness in this world, and that animals actually aren't. Like, they are the computer code running, so they have a lot of similarities. The code is very similar to us. It's just that they're controlled by the AI, and we're controlled by our consciousness from the next level. So it's very weird, because we still want to, when I listen to a lot of really intelligent people talk, they still want to think along the lines of, like maybe this tree has consciousness, or maybe, it seems like we want to give consciousness away to more and more things, but maybe it's not, right? And if you got out of this video game and then you're laughing with your buddies in our parent reality and you're like, oh, I totally screwed that up, I didn't get it, I didn't know what we were doing. I mean, maybe you just went around being nice to everybody when the point of the game was to kill everybody and rule the world, right? And everyone's laughing in the parent reality at how you didn't figure it out. And it might be that the previous version of this game called life, which everyone goes into and is you, it might be that version, the previous version, you did know that you were playing a video game, so it was easy to go in and blow everything up, just like you do in all the video games you play right now. But maybe this version of the video game is, 10.1.6.7, and that was the first version where you take the amnesia pill and you don't know. And then this time through the game, even though every other time through the game you go around blowing everybody up, this time through the game you you just became a pacifist and sat on a couch and looked at your iPhone. I mean, how boring would that be? How much of a joke would that be on you when you get back to the parent reality and hanging out with your buds, right? So the thing is, we don't know. Now, we don't suggest, obviously, changing your beliefs radically or doing anything ridiculous like playing this life like a video game. I'm just saying, like, we got to think about it, right? I mean, there's something about me that doesn't want to go around killing people in real life. But maybe that's just my fear of not wanting to die, or a fear that this is all that there is, like this reality is material, right? So again, I mean, we're so deeply rooted in this that obviously you got to be careful even when you're saying this kind of stuff, right? But I mean, you had to be careful when you were saying that the world was round, right? When everyone thought it was flat, or you might get killed, right? So it's kind of the same. It's like, you got to be careful saying that, there's actually more evidence pointing to the fact that we should probably just treat this life like a video game, that when we die, we either just get to play it again, or we, go on doing what we were ever doing in our parent reality. And, the most fun that you have in this game, the better it is. Just like the video games, like, try to escape at all costs. Like, the last thing you'd want to do in a video game is just act as boringly as possible, right? That's the thing, is they're supposed to be fun, they're supposed to be interesting, they're supposed to be action, right? And we know that because we play them all the time, right? So I don't know, I really don't know. But what is interesting is that by trying on this sort of belief system more and more, my behavior changes a little bit at a time. And obviously I'm aware of culture, I'm aware of my social contract, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And obviously there's no way I'm ever going to go around doing things illegal, because I understand the ramifications in this system, right? But there are things that can change within this system, right? I mean, there are a lot of beliefs that can change and are still acceptable by our own culture. And so those are the ones that behaviors that I can change, and that do seem natural to change given this belief system, that still fit into the old paradigm as well. But who knows? Like, it may be that our kids, right? Like the next few generations, because every generation is just so far beyond the generations previous. And we always think, we are going to be able to keep up with the next generation, and that they're going to make sense to us. But it's never really the case, and it seems to be speeding up exponentially, which means that maybe the next generation is going to really believe that we do live in a video game and start to act like that. And they're going to do stuff that we think is so bad and so horrible, right? But it's not. It's just going to be they're adopting a belief system fundamentally, like, right from the get-go, whereas we've got this old belief system that we're trapped in, right? I truly believe that the best thing that you can do in life is be as unattached to your belief system as possible, always looking for the next one, trying to keep up as much as possible. And I think the times are changing a lot faster than they ever are. Belief systems are, and you're going to see behavior, like it does, always lagging behind. But as new generations adapt these beliefs and internalize them right from the beginning, you can see some of these changes in behavior take root very strongly, in the sense that it'd be very hard for us to change our behavior from one belief system to the next, because we have to go through that change. But it'll be interesting to see what our kids come up with, man. It's going to be insane. It's going to blow our minds, scare us to death, literally. Yeah, joke's on us. I'm pretty excited to die. Like, I'm really, really excited to see where we go and what happens. And if we don't, I mean, whatever. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. This tree that I'm standing in front of might fall over and crush me. I mean, you just don't know. So, but maybe we can know. That's the thing, is all options are open in my mind. Can we know something? Can we not know it? I don't know. The nature of reality is quite a scary beast. Anyways, that's what I was thinking about walking through the park today. That's all I want to think about. I love thinking about this kind of stuff, so that's what we got. Anyways, enough for today. Dan at Starlight, peace out.